Good evening, everybody. I think that's going to be an extremely hard act to follow. And you know what? My wife said to me a few weeks ago when I told her I was coming to do a TEDx talk at DBS, "Why would you do that?" You know what she said next? She said, "You should put your hands in your pocket, you should strut around, you should wear a black turtleneck and jeans." I didn't do any of that. Probably much to my detriment when I go home tonight. Why, you say? Happy life, happy wife, right? But what I'm going to talk about tonight is what I've done, taken basically a different path, where I've taken risks, and I've done things a little differently. And by doing this, I want to tell you the difficulties, and that you have to take risks, and you have to dare to fall. Today, I stand here as a surgeon, as an innovator in robotic surgery, and a fledgling entrepreneur. But it has not been all smooth sailing. We have these chasms that have been seen to be insurmountable, and we have to take on these challenges, take the risk, and dare to fall. We are challenged to be exceptional every day, particularly in this school. We love the success, and failing is not in our DNA. But if you want to take on challenges, if you want to tread the different path, you will fail, you will fall. It's inevitable, and the fall can be very, very deep. So for me, where did it all begin? My career, my foundation, I would say it's molded and shaped here at DBS. So I'll share 3 things about DBS. So first, Form 3A was my best year. The hecklers are right there in the crowd. And we pranked our teachers. We were up to no good all the time, as you would expect from this school. Secondly, I am not full-on nerd. I am not just a doctor. I actually did break the 100-meter hurdle record in 1997 in middle school. And I was also part of the school choir. But my proudest moment was being A-team captain with Dang Hon Sing. Let's see if this works here. Well, that's me with the afro, so you can see he's next to me. And winning the Grand Slam for athletics, breaking a record, really living the dream here. But afterwards, nothing is perfect. I had my fall. I failed my Chinese in the Hong Kong Cert exam that year. And I tore my knee ligaments that same year. That was really huge for me. I could not run, but we keep going, we pick up and we move on. And from that I gained 3 things. You dream big, you persevere, and you work harder than anybody else. So I moved on. Despite my injuries, I was allowed to focus on my studies. I went to medical school and I studied in the UK. Actually, I ignored my parents' advice and their friends' advice to come back and study medicine in Hong Kong. I refused to do that. And along the way, after completing medical school, I decided I want to go to the US and complete my surgical training. I took a risk. I actually went to Johns Hopkins on a 2-year program to do a surgical training. It wouldn't allow me to complete my surgical training, but it allowed me to go to Hopkins. And gut-wrenchingly, I failed. I had to leave Hopkins. I moved to the University of Louisville to complete my surgical training. They offered me a full training post where I'd become a surgeon afterwards. And I'm waiting a year more. The but comes along now. But Hopkins called me back. This was from a different specialty, from ENT, from otolaryngology as we call it, to complete my training in that specialty. And this was based on my prior performance at Hopkins. So then I went back to this coveted specialty to complete my training. So this journey, this circuitous journey back to Johns Hopkins in the US to complete my training, this hard-fought path taught me a thing, that you create your own luck. And I also gained 3 things while I was there. I gained a lifelong mentor in Jeremy Richmond, who's now at Harvard. He taught me how to take care of patients. He taught me my approach to patients, my surgical skills. But he also exposed me to this. This is robotic surgery. And I was experiencing this at its infancy back in 2007, 2008. And this allowed me to be at the forefront of so-called minimally invasive surgery at that time. And this experience and this exposure allows me to play with gadgets like this. And I get to play with gadgets like this on a regular basis. It also allowed me to lead the world's first clinical trial operating through the mouth with this robot, which was unique at that time. But despite that, I came back to Hong Kong. I joined CUHK. I joined the bandwagon that was academia. And I joined the rat race that was substantiation and tenure to become a professor. The endless pursuit of writing grants to get money for research, to write papers for journals to get academic promotion. But this was always giving me self-doubt. I would write a grant, it wouldn't get funded. I'd submit a paper to a journal, I'd get rejected. I just got a rejection last week. And this is the academic tract. But there are three positive things I gained from coming back to Hong Kong. I joined the CUHK Faculty of Medicine as an academic surgeon. I participate in patient care, I teach, and I do research. Some parts I love. But I also gained a friend and a collaborator in Professor Gok Gawai, who is on the screen there, just next to me on the left-hand side. He's an engineer, and we collaborate a lot. So if I have a problem that is clinically related to some problems I have in the operating room, he will talk to me and he will come up with an engineering solution. And through this, a like-minded soul, we developed a long-lasting friendship, and now he has joined us at CUHK as well. But we also participated and did blue sky research. Research that really was just for academic promotion, for the academic arena. And this is that sort of research we did. But how would we make an impact? How can we both make an impact in patient care? Something that we would use and help patients moving forwards. We were thinking about how would we make an impact in surgical robotics. But the surgical robotics scene is dominated by one single company in the US, Intuitive Surgical. So if we wanted to gain market share, if we wanted to innovate in surgical robotics, we'd have to look somewhere else. So what about regionally? What about in China or in Hong Kong? Is there any possibility here? Why don't we look at 3 different companies from our region? This is Cornerstone Robotics out of Hong Kong. This is Microport Medport out of Shanghai. And this is Edge Medical's multiport robot from Shenzhen. Just take a look. Need I say anything more? The market is crowded. The innovation is extremely limited in this scene. So how do we make an impact? How do we make a difference? How do we go against these market trends? How can we go against these giant surgical companies? We believed in our technology, in our innovation. And we wanted to go against what was done in the market and against these companies. Just like David and Goliath with a slingshot and a stone. We had our innovation. We were working from the body inside out. We had our team. We had our clinical expertise. We had our engineering expertise. But besides these tools and skills, we needed something else. We needed bravery to take the leap of faith, sling that shot, and conquer our challenges. We could have taken the easy road out. We could have followed the market. We could have cowered to these surgical companies. But we decided not to. As I said earlier, we decided to take a risk. We dared to fall. And we did that with 3 things in mind: preparation, teamwork, and bravery. So this is our target. This is what we did. Something called endoluminal surgery. This is where we work from inside the body out. So we basically use endoscopes. We work through natural orifices, so for example, your mouth, to operate from the inside out. And this is kind of an apt depiction of this. It's a little comical. So if you focus on the left-hand side first, imagine trying to cut that cake there with a knife on your head. You probably make a mess of it, right? You probably get cake all over your face. And this is the current status of endoluminal surgery, operating with an endoscope, a camera, while cutting at the same time. What we're trying to do is convert it to the picture on the left-hand side, where you give you 2 hands to cut that cake and stabilizing your view so that you clearly see where that cake is to cut it. So this will convert endoluminal surgery from something that is challenging, difficult to do, and difficult to learn, to something that is more ergonomic and easy to do. That is what we were aiming to do, and this is one part that we're aiming to do. So men, I'm really sorry, but you tend to have more urological problems. And this is working from down under. And what you see here in this video is a robotic system removing a bladder cancer through a natural orifice. And you can guess which orifice? Your pee hole, yeah, that's right. And we're doing this through an endoscope, so a camera system that is less than 1 centimeter in size. So rather than just seeing the video, why don't we show you live how we do it? All right. So parents in the audience, this is why your kids should play TV games. It gives them dexterity. So please do let them play TV games when they go home. So this is a bit like driving a car. We step on the activator here, which is like an accelerator, okay? I move my left hand, the left arm moves. I move my right hand, the right arm moves. We press the button on the left, it opens the jaw, and right to close the jaw. This is a grasper. On my right hand here is so-called an electrocautery. This is an energy device. It basically allows us to cut the tissue. And if I can find, I made some cuts earlier. Basically, what we're going to try and do here is cut a piece of tissue. This is a pig's bladder, which is filled with salt water that allows us to cut this tissue. So this is kind of mimicking what we would do in a real patient. All right. And I will just quickly demonstrate, but hopefully I don't make a hole in this bladder here. Sorry, I don't want to disappoint you guys. So what we're trying to do here is basically cut a little bit of the lining inside the bladder. And this usually, in a real bladder, after a while, it's really distended. It'll kind of spring open, as you want to put it, when you cut through the tissue here. So now we're trying to use a grasper. So to pull it up, okay, and we'll just cut a little bit more. And this is really mimicking what we do for bladder cancer, as I showed earlier in that video. We're trying to cut this tissue out without making a hole in the bladder. Okay. I'm just going to do this fairly quickly. So this is like playing TV games. You do see that, right? Just to emphasize that point a little bit more. All right, so that's a little piece of the pig's bladder resected there. So this is Agilis. This is a part of what we've developed. We are a university spin-off. We formed this back in 2021. And this was founded by myself, Gawai, who you see atop there, and Justin, who are engineers. And Joe is a financier. We formed this together because of the pursuit of making an impact on patient care in this type of surgical procedure, this type of surgical robotics. And we work together closely because we respect each other's capabilities in this particular endeavor that we're pursuing. So where are we now? Where is Agilis Robotics now? We have completed the first human robotic bladder resection through, yep, that's right, your pee hole. So we did that just this year, and we completed the first human trial, basically operating through the urethra, which is your pee hole, to do this, and we're really the world's first. And secondly, we are seeking regulatory approval in the US and China now to use this device commercially and to really drive that impact of patient care. And lastly, the hardest part, getting funding to support what we're doing. The number of times we've talked to people and said, sorry, no. Sorry, I'm conflicted out. Number of times we hear that as demoralizing. But we keep going, we keep pursuing despite these falls. And recently, we've been very fortunate. We've secured a fairly large sum from the government from their Raise Plus scheme to continue our endeavor to make patient impact. So I could have been a regular doctor. I could operate every day, see patients every day. I could be staying in my comfort zone. And I see smiles there. There's a lot of doctors in the field there. And not stepped out. But I chose to change the status quo. I chose to do something different and try and make an impact in patients' care on a wider scale. Just like you're riding your bike for your first time, just like you're founding your first startup, we're going to fall. It's inevitable. Sometimes you're going to fall. But that's not what matters. What matters is what happens afterwards. Picking yourself up, moving forwards, learning from those previous challenges, pushing those boundaries, and daring to fall. Thank you.